Another day, another podcast then, guys. And this time, we've been trying to do this for a little while, and we finally managed to correlate our diaries. And this time, I'm chatting with Julian Gilmour, one of the 4D family through Bob Breen. So it's always a pleasure to have a chat with him, speak to him, and obviously train with him as well at some of the 4D camps. Julian, how are you?
Great. Yeah, got a bit of a cold, so I might sound a bit rough.
A
But
little bit nasally,
as
but
I've
that's
just
all
been
right.
explaining to my daughter, we've both got the same cold. We both sound terrible, but I'm eating lots of fruit and vegetables, so I feel all right, and she feels like dog shit. So
Oh,
yeah,
there you
but
go
she's
then.
not listening.
An apple a day and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So obviously, I reached out a little while
Okay.
ago with
Yeah.
people that I wanted to have interesting stories with, and obviously, I've met you through obviously Guru Bob Breen and doing the 4D camps and stuff. We trained together a little bit, but you said you had an interesting origin story of how obviously you got started in martial arts, how you became the man that you are today, teaching Camden Martial Arts and through Bob Breen, etc. So let's kind of get into it and tell me your story, Julian.
Well, the answer to the second bit is turning up because that's all that anybody has to do. But then obviously that's a challenge, life gets in the way and stuff. But yeah, you said you're after origin stories. So in 1999. I used to work for this horrific sales company, and it was going through the motions of kind of like dissolving and then going to another kind of service company that we're going to use for product providers and stuff like that. So I've been to a business meeting at 11 in the morning with a very fancy suit on at this meeting, and then went to the pub. 12 hours later, and several pubs later, and constant drinking later. So I've been drinking for like 12 hours.
Wow.
Found myself in Yates's Wine Lodge in Lewisham,
Okay.
drinking flaming sambucas. So I even actually managed to burn my lip because it didn't go out properly while I was doing it. With this
Okay.
bloke that I used to work with, right? So he's a work colleague. I didn't know him very well. Turned out to be a bit of a shit, as you find out in a minute.
Yeah.
But really, really hammered. Two posh blokes in suits, looking like that. We walked out of Yates's Wine Lodge. We're walking up Lehigh Road, which is where I used to work, where I used to live. And then these two blokes walked up behind us, and then there's some kind of like minor conversation. Guy, who's the name of the bloke that I was with, who ironically was maybe the biggest womanizer I've ever known. He'd been out, I won't even name people, but he'd been out with like famous models and actors and stuff. He was a bit slimy, but he was really good looking, and he managed to make it work for him often enough. So he's like a complete
Okay.
womanizer.
Sure.
He slapped the bloke that he was talking to on the arse, who took this as a gay thing.
Right.
He said some homophobic slur, turned around and punched Guy, who then ran off. And the
Okay.
two of them just attacked me,
Wow. Okay, that took a
beat me
turn.
to the ground. I mean, I didn't do any training. I was 29, 30 or something. What was it? Yeah, 31. You could
I
have
was
just
going to
pushed
say,
me over.
what
And
year was
yeah, I could barely stand up without anybody trying to push me over. So I went over. I'm getting a proper kick. I just kind of fetal positioned up and I had loads of bruises on the back of my head and my back and stuff. And then a few seconds in, while they're still going at me, this police van turns up. So they obviously stop. And then these two coppers get out and they're like, what's going on here? And then I was like, I don't fucking know. I'm getting attacked for just no apparent reason. And then they started shouting homophobic slurs in French, right?
Who did the
But
attackers?
the attackers, yeah, so they
Okay.
were both French. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I did my placement year in France. My missus is French. I speak it really well. So I was just like, mais n'importe quoi, je suis même pas pédé, like that. And then they were like, oh, this is awkward because I don't think he's gay and he speaks really good French.
Shit.
You could just see
Okay.
them just say, oh shit, now what? And then the police are already there.
What
So the
year was this?
police, huh?
What year was this?
99,
99. Okay. Cool.
99.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Um, so the police are like, I've just been, they're like, what's happened? I've just been attacked for nothing. And then I realised it was because they thought I was gay. And I think, well, I think it's a homophobic attack. And they were like, well, do you want to press charges? And I come from a working class background. No, I
Yeah.
just don't ever. But that's how I thought then. Now I've got gay friends that have been attacked, and now I think of it as a hate crime. I'm
Sure.
not. Now I think of it differently. But at the time, we just don't get the police involved. And also, if you go to court for a homophobic attack and it turns out you're not gay, how does that work? I don't even know. So
Okay.
so I'm just not getting involved. So I just went home and just thought I probably should learn how to hit somebody and not get hit if
Okay. Yeah.
if that happens again. So that's what it was. It was like a mistaken homophobic attack.
Oh,
which
correct. That was a great origin story. That was, yeah.
yeah,
I've not heard that one
yeah, yeah,
before.
yeah.
Usually, like, I was a kid, I got bullied at school, but no, you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
smashed
Well,
and
no,
then
I didn't. That's the funny thing.
got
So
beat up.
I've got a completely non-violent background because we grew up quite poor, and I went to a rough school. You know, there's a lot of people in my year are dead from heroin and in prison for robbing post office and stuff like that. It was a really rough school. I
Mm.
happened to end up getting enough GCSEs and 3 A levels and getting to do a biology degree, so I managed to get out of that. But at school, I wasn't violent at all, but there were a lot of, you know, there's a lot of rough kids there. But I was really cheeky with the teachers. I just had, you know, I just couldn't help myself. I was just really mouthy and cheeky.
I was going to
And
say, you got
because
a
of
bit of
that, I
mouth on
used
you.
to,
Yeah.
huh?
A bit of a mouth on you.
Yeah, yeah. And this is in Merseyside, so I even managed to stand out with a mouth in Merseyside. So because of that, I used to get into trouble a lot. I'm old enough. I used to get the cane quite a bit in the first year. So I
Wow.
was like I was one of the cool kids amongst all the hard kids without doing any fighting whatsoever. They just
Cool.
thought, oh my God, the way he speaks to teachers, he's always in trouble. So I was like one of the cool kids. Then I got kind of, you know, did my A levels, went to uni, which was 1989, which is when Acid House kicked off. And all the rough lads were more likely to offer you a spliff and give you a hug rather than try and stab you.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
then, so I didn't get into not really any violence at school, not really any violence as a, you know, like 20-year-old. Then, you know, I'm at uni, so you're hanging around with students. Nothing really happened. Yeah, so I just, and I've got no siblings to roll around and wrestle with. So I'd done about 6 weeks of Shotokan karate as a 13-year-old, but we were skint and I couldn't afford a gi. So
Okay.
you know, I couldn't afford to like carry on and do gradings and stuff like that. So yeah, I just hadn't had any background. So I thought, yeah, I think I might need to, you know, learn how to not get hit and how to hit somebody. So a few weeks later, I joined Bill Judd, who used to run KO kickboxing gym.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's a world champion. As I found out recently, he's trained 40 world champions at my time.
Wow. Okay. Some good
So he's
pedigree.
like really legit. And I did 5
Yeah.
lessons with him. And then part 2 of my origin story, I had a really nasty accident. So my girlfriend, well, my then girlfriend, now fiance, was she went away for the weekend. I went out clubbing with a mate of mine. We got back to our place at 2 a.m, and my keys had gone missing. So we're like, oh shit, Muriel's away. And I thought, well, we used to live in Angel above this Italian restaurant. It's still a Domino's pizza there on White Lion Street, if anybody wants to look at it,
Okay.
because the railings are still there. So I just thought, well, the window's open, and there was a ledge that was like this wide sticking out, railings and fence thing there to stand up. And I said, well, tell you what, James, I'll go in there. I'll get in the front. I'll get in the window. I'll open the front door. You can sleep on the sofa. Bob's your uncle, right?
Yeah.
So go on to this. Had hold of this one piece of metal, was just reaching up like that to grab the ledge, and this thing snapped, and like I fell down. Nobody can see the scars on this, but I kind of basically fell down like this. So I've got an exit wound there and an
Yeah.
entry wound there.
All
Just
the
went
way
kind of
through.
through there. The knee was all right, actually, but I've got like a nasty scar there, maybe, and a big scar there, which wasn't the bad one because I was hanging like this, and one went, like the railings were like that. So one went 6 inches deep in the top of that leg. So that left a
Oh,
really horrible scar. And I was literally while it was going like this in the flesh in the top of the leg. James was like, are you all right? And I really calmly just said, I think we're going to need an ambulance.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then because I was hanging on this with a leg going out like that, I turned around and I put my hand on one of the other railings. So I went through my hand as well, and he did 6 stitches there. It didn't break the skin there, but I needed 6 stitches there. So I managed to get myself off, and then was hanging just with this railing going through there, you know, like 5 feet in the air. And then he was trying to get my leg off, and I'm trying to keep my other leg on the ground. Blood all over the place.
My
He was
God.
freaking out. He managed to get me off, and then I sat down. I just fell down. He ran off trying to flag traffic down, and I called my own ambulance actually.
Yeah.
So I called them up, said, oh yeah, I've fallen on some railings and bleeding. And then they're like, what's your name? And they're like, what's your date of birth? 13/12/68. How old are you? I'm 30. I'm bleeding all over the road. Can you send an ambulance, please? What they're doing, I now know, because we'd actually been out with some nurses the night before. They're checking to see what state you're in, because I might have hit myself on the head and not known, you know,
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
instance. Yeah, so they're asking you all these things, and then the woman, I'm speaking to the woman, she's asking me questions, gave her all the details. Then James realizes I'm on the phone. He legs it back over to me. He picks up my phone and he goes, "My fucking mate's fucking dying. What am I supposed to do?" And I could hear this woman just say, "Keep him warm and keep him talking. Don't let him fall asleep because I'm
Yeah, yeah.
potentially going to bleed out." So 9 minutes later, ambulance turns up, and they had to cut my jeans off me because there's just blood all over the place. And I was alternating between like this, and then just kind of calm, because I knew I had to stay calm and stay awake and talking. So, and
Sure, yeah.
as the kind of adrenaline and
You say it's so adrenal.
whatever your blood chemistry is doing, I was kind of alternating between and then completely calm. Like at one point, he was like, "Does it hurt a lot?" Because in the exit wound there, I had a bit of like muscle or gristle or something just come out of the hole,
Yeah.
and I was like, "It does smart a little bit like that."
Yeah.
And there's a few other details, but yeah. And then I spent 3 months bedridden because that happened on a Saturday night, unsurprisingly. On the Thursday,
Have
the
you been out
surgeon,
drinking?
yes,
There's a common theme
yes,
emerging here of Julian going
yes.
out and getting some,
It's a bit
having a
deeper than
few
that, but I don't really
beverages.
want to talk about it in public. And on the Thursday, the surgeon came down because I had to have two operations, because the one that went through the leg, it left all rust off the railings, and they couldn't even clean it out well enough the first time.
Right.
But they could sew the exit wound and the entry wound in my leg, but they couldn't sew that one up because they said you've got such a big hole that it might fill up with fluid and you might get infected. You might need a colostomy bag. And I was like, oh, all right then, yeah. Well, and he said, you're in a hospital full of sick people. This was on a Thursday now.
Yeah.
He goes, what you should do is, so as not to get infected or MRSA or something like that,
Yeah.
go home. We'll send a district nurse around every 2 days to change your dressings, because they couldn't change that one. The one in the top of the leg, it was that deep, and they couldn't sew it up. So what they'd done is, during 2 lots of general anaesthetic, was just stuffed a piece of bandage in it about 2 meters, like a boxing wrap, except
Right.
without the Velcro.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just literally stuffed it to soak up the liquid, and they'd done all the changes while I was under general. I was on the opium, the morphine
Morphine
clicker,
drip. Yeah.
all the time. I was in a lot of
Yeah.
pain. And then on the Thursday, he said, right, you might get infected. You should probably go home. We'll send a district nurse around. So I was like, yeah, do that, please. They said, right, we're going to have to change that dressing. I was like, fine. And then he went to take a little bit out, and it went like half a centimetre. I was like, oh, that was more painful than when it actually happened, because you've
Really?
got all the
Yeah.
adrenaline
Yeah.
and the cider in you. And he had to pull like a 2-meter piece of bandage out of this open wound like
Inch
this.
by
He
inch.
gave me, he gave me a piece of leather for my teeth, like these things that you see in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the minute he started, I was like, oh, Christ, like this. And I was like, hang on, I'm going to need some more morphine for this. He said, if I give you morphine again, we can't let you go for another 6 hours or whatever it is. That's their rule. They can't give you morphine and then kick you out the door of a hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was worried about needing a colostomy bag. So I was like, oh, just do it then. So he had to pull a 2-meter piece of bandage out of an open wound bit by bit like that.
How long
That
did it
was
take?
uncomfortable. Probably 10 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, that was horrific. That was probably the worst bit. Yeah. And then I got a taxi home. And then I was bedridden for 3 months. And I thought, I'm going to leave that bloody financial sales job, the job that I had, the horrible situation. I thought, I'm going to take my health a bit more seriously. And I was enjoying the martial arts, so I'm going to do that properly. Bill Judd had moved his gym. I asked around, there's another kickboxer guy at the company that I worked at, and he said, well, there's Bob Breen. He's a student of Danny Santos, who was Bruce Lee's best mate. And I just thought,
Yeah.
well, that sounds interesting.
Tick. Yeah.
So I went to the beginner's lesson of that in 2000 or 2001. And I'm still training under Bob today. And actually now I'm an instructor under Bob and under Guru Dan as of Italy last year.
Fantastic.
So with no fighting background whatsoever, a ridiculous, like mistaken homophobic attack is kind of like the best thing that's ever happened. I think that my accident is the best thing that ever. I've got like a good pub story, chick stick scars. It was just it was a catalyst for just a load of positive change.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I say great. What did you do for those 3 months when you were bedridden? Was it difficult?
I read a lot of books. Yeah,
I
read the Harry Potter, and I finally got into David Mitchell, not the comedian, David Mitchell, who wrote Cloud Atlas.
Okay.
His first book, Ghostwritten, I read a few of his. He's one of my 2 favourite authors.
Perfect.
So read a lot of books. But I mean, you had to, so you didn't get, you're at risk of pneumonia if your lungs fill up with fluid. So I still had to get up a couple of times a day and like walk for just 10 paces and back again. But it was really, really painful.
Oh, that was rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
But well done. So you thought, right, I'm going to go and make a change. And then obviously saw Guru Bob. Was that at the Hoxton Academy then at that point?
Yeah. I was there at the old Academy, actually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So what was that experience?
That's where I did my first grading. Huh?
What was that experience like? Because people obviously talk about the Hoxton Academy and kind of like kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I hadn't trained with, apart from with Bill Judd, which was very pure Thai.
Yeah.
and we just turned up in a studio and then went. Whereas that was like a full-time academy, so there was like a weights room. I mean, obviously, I'm not a weights person. It had a weights room, and there were other rooms so you could practice for gradings and stuff like that. So it was much more of a full-time thing. I did my first grading there, which was quite awkward because I didn't realise that you generally got a grading buddy, which I had for all my other belts to train with. I was just kind of trying to like practice it in class and stuff like that. And then I got there. It wasn't. I don't think Bob was even. Yeah, Bob was taking it. He said, and he goes, "Have you got a partner?" He goes, "Have you got a partner?" He pointed to me, and I said completely deadpan, "No, I haven't got any friends." But it failed completely. Everybody just went like that. Now people know me; they realise I don't take myself particularly seriously, so it was all right. But it started off really awkwardly, actually. And then at the end, he said I was rubbish. Well, no, he said I was all right, but he's told me since I was rubbish. But he said my pad holding was particularly poor. It was just terrible. And I tell my students this because obviously I look quite good now, but I keep telling them I was just rubbish when I started for ages.
Not a natural.
And I think it's a Rick Young quote. You're a Rick Young. To be a good martial art, and I tell beginners this all the time, to be a good martial artist, you've only got 2 jobs. You find a good teacher and you show up. That's it. The rest of it's my job. That's all you need to do is just showing up. So it doesn't matter how shit you are. Everybody's going to keep getting better if you're with good instructors. Some will get better quicker, some will get better slower, and there's all, some of it's cardio, some of it's technique, some of it's distance, time, all sorts of things. Everybody's on a different level. But if you keep turning up, you're going to keep going up the mountain, and if you stop turning up, you won't.
Yeah, keep turning up and keep putting the effort in, I think, as well. Don't just go through the motions. But 100%. Obviously, Guru Rick's the man. So anything he says, I take as gospel into his words. So, yeah.
He's choked me unconscious once. And he came up in conversation in class this week. So he choked me and my student Mark unconscious. And we both think it's a massive honour. I mean, it was at a seminar. It was demonstrating. I asked him to show me something. It was like a Marcelino version of a guillotine where you put the right hand, like a standing guillotine, the right hand comes under, but then he put this hand under and he twisted it to the right rather than to the left.
He's done that to me before, I think, at Tribe, and I was like,
Jesus. Yeah, because I'm not a jiu-jitsu person, really. I train a little bit, but I'm just not used to that. And he's a 5 times world champion. He puts it on so perfectly. And I'm just used to like a blue belt putting stuff on me.
Sure.
And oh my God, yeah, like getting struck by lightning. Yeah, but massive honour. He's amazing.
He is. Definitely.
Yeah. If I could be in a fight and choose who to have with me, I'd probably have him out of anybody in the world.
I would probably agree, to be fair. I've said this to quite a few people. I was saying it when we were seeing Guru Bob the other day. I was like, I think he's probably the best well-rounded martial artist that I've ever met.
Yeah, he was a professional boxer. He was a bouncer in Scotland for 20 years, so he's had loads of fights with idiot Scotsmen.
Yeah.
He's a full instructor in Kali and everything else under Guru Dan.
Yeah.
And he's 5 times Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. I don't know
Judo black belt, Wing Chun instructor. You name it.
He's just got everything. And he's got that intensity as well.
He is. Yeah. He is a top guy as well. Really top guy. Got a lot of respect.
Yes.
So, tell me how then it started to develop. Was it immediately kind of you fell in love with what were you training? What was the first grading in? Was it more striking? Was it weapons? What was the
no, there were no weapons until black belt in Bob Breen. I've changed this. I've got them after maybe the 3rd grading. They'll have to do like a roof block and, some of the Sankateros, angles 1 to 5 and stuff like that. Because there were a couple, I won't name him in case he doesn't like it, but there's one guy who was a brown belt, got invited to do his black belt, was in one of Terry Barnett's lessons on a Monday, who used to teach a Pan and Toucan lesson and then the same techniques, but with sticks and knives.
Yeah.
And he said, hands up, have you ever done this before? And this brown belt put his hand up and Terry Barnett just laughed. And it turned out, no, he'd never done any weapons classes at all.
Right, okay.
And then suddenly you've got to get all your weapons ready for your black belt. So, not going to criticise Bob, obviously. But, I've changed it to because I think it's a better idea if you've done a little bit beforehand. It just forces people, because not everybody likes it. I've got one student who came to a stick class, he says, I'm never doing another one of them ever again.
We've got some like that, yeah.
And I've got... I think I can name, no, I won't, just in case. I've got a student who came to one of my women-only classes. I used to teach women-only self-defence on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah. And
I went into the office at Kentish Town Community Centre where I teach. And lady there's about to join my class. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Julian." And Sarah, who used to run, she goes, "Oh, this is Julian. He's lovely." And then this person's go, "Oh no, I can't touch you." And I thought, well, this is going to be a bit awkward when we're
If
going to
it's not
touch each other in a minute,
yeah,
or like
yeah.
hitting hands and stuff. Like she was totally fine at that. But she had I think she described it as crippling anxiety. And
Okay.
whenever she's not in a lesson, she walks around with big speakers on, listening to death metal, like all
Okay.
the time, just to
Yeah, yeah.
drown out, feeling uncomfortable or whatever. And the first time in years she didn't do that was after her first ever Bob seminar, which is kind of interesting. 20 minutes later, she thought, "Oh, I'm not listening to anything." She was just thinking about what
Brilliant.
she'd done. But she'd never been abroad before, and she came to a stick fighting class of mine, and she was just like, "Oh my god, this is like why have I never done this before? This is amazing. This is the best thing ever." So she just immediately fell in love with it. She's now been abroad twice in her life with crippling anxiety. Once with Guru Allen, who teaches Balintawak stick at the Legacy Academy. She went to the Philippines stick fighting with his grandmaster, and
Wow.
she came to Italy with me in March to train with Guru Dan. So
Wow.
she's gone from crippling anxiety to loving stick fighting, doing it at another gym as well as mine,
Wow.
and life changing. So she's that's so rewarding for me as an instructor.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I was going to say, if you
Life
could talk
changing.
about martial arts and changing lives, there's a great example of it.
Yeah,
How it not
yeah,
being all about the hitty, wacky, wacky, and actually just, making an
yeah,
improvement in people's lives and seeing general day to day improvements. Big tick in the box there. Fantastic.
yeah. So that first grading, to go back to that, it was just
Mm.
like jab, cross, hook, cross, and roundhouse kicks, some side kicks,
Basic combos
some
then.
front kicks, and maybe a wrist lock or something. Yeah, yeah, just very, very basic.
And you fell in love with it straight away. You were like, yep, this is
Yeah,
for
and
me.
I was rubbish, and I was still rubbish for ages.
But you just kept
No,
showing
not
up.
really. Well, I found it rewarding, but I found it really challenging. And you might be surprised by this. I still do a little bit,
Mm.
actually, sometimes. I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy the point. I've been to Thailand 3 times to train as well, so I was half vomiting during a private, the last one there. So I don't mind working hard, but some people really enjoy the process of working hard, and I don't particularly. It's just a necessity, one of those things to do. Like I don't really love sparring, even really. I know some people absolutely love it, and
Mm-hmm.
even like 25 years in. I mean, it depends who you're with, obviously. Obviously, I'm not challenged by that many people that often. But when I am, I still find it really challenging. Like, some people just like to get hit. I remember
Yeah.
Paul Clark at a black belt grading one. Somebody got hit. And I was sat behind, I was a black belt, so I'm sat behind, with the judges. And he turned around to Bob and he went, "Yeah, I can't really get going until I've been properly knocked."
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not like that at all. um, so actually, it's still a continuing challenge for me. Um, and I challenge myself, so even now, I'm a white belt at BJJ. I've got a trapped nerve in my foot at the moment, so I haven't done it for a couple of months, but I'm
Preach.
doing that. That's a
You
constant
joined the
challenge because
gang.
then I've got another few years of just getting smashed until you can get a blue belt, maybe. Um, and I'm doing some Psyop Carly with Guru McShaw.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, and oh my God, that's really cool. Yeah, I went to their Psyop Sama a few weeks ago
Yeah.
with so Guru Krishna Gadani he's the main European guy. He's
Oh,
an old
yeah.
student of Bob's actually. He's
Yeah.
a lovely guy. I've never met him. He's
Yeah.
great. Met Mick Shaw saw Mick Shaw again, and Bill not Bill McGrath, he's Tertia. Chu Han Harley Elmore, who came over with Richard Syok, who's Chris Syok's son, and they were the main teachers. But their
Cool.
approach to like personal security and everything, it's amazing. It's not just me and one other person or people and disarms and stabbing and stuff like that. Their approach to everything is incredible, and it's really changing the way my mind is working. So finding it quite challenging learning all their templates and stuff. But it's all growth, isn't it? So then you just,
Have you always been
I,
into that
I,
kind of growth mindset of being like, I want to learn a little bit more. I want to learn little bit more. Like,
I've always been a reader of, kind of good books and stuff. I wouldn't read trashy books. I mean, I did a bit after my accident. That's when I read the Harry Potter and stuff like that.
yeah,
But normally I read good quality books. And now that I write, I guess they're mostly research for stuff that I'm writing because it's very heavily researched. But yeah, and I went to, got a biology degree, so I'm kind of used to mental challenge, I
sure,
suppose.
yeah,
Certainly felt like that at the time. Yeah. So yeah, some people really like it, and to some people the challenge doesn't feel like challenge. I
yeah.
guess would be
It's
one
just
way of putting it,
natural.
and to me it does. I think that's probably it. Yeah. But you just keep turning up. I'm still, To quote Dave Burkett, every time you step into the dojo, you're sharpening your sword.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
So
that's my process at the moment with BJJ. Obviously, as a white belt, I really struggle with BJJ. I find it difficult. But again, I just think just a little incremental improvement, even if it's just
yeah,
getting
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
fitness or something like that, just take maybe one win away each class, and then you'll just build and compound on those. And as you say,
Yeah, yeah.
rocking
But
up,
there's just
and
so
then
much involvement of
maybe
people.
one day you'll be less shit. It's better-
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah. You just keep turning up.
Yeah,
How about this guy? Right. So I've had a couple of private. So you get these. Some people only get JKD things saying, "Oh, BJJ is no good for the street. You want to stay off your back and stuff like that." But I mean, sports BJJ, there's still really useful um, techniques in there. But I've
yeah,
also had some privates off John Hegan, who is
mhm,
he's a fantastic guy. So he's a third degree black belt direct under Hoist Gracie,
cool. Yeah,
right? And they teach self defense jiu-jitsu. So it's different because the person might be. So, for instance, there's not a lot of scarf hold stuff that
yeah,
gets taught in sports jiu-jitsu because if you're both skilled and you both are similar weight because you're in a competition, changes the game. But you get a lot of people that weigh 20 stone that are used to throwing people down on the ground and then they end up in a scarf holder. So you need to be able to do that against somebody that's much heavier than you. Well,
yeah.
and they might also be trying to punch and headbutt you. So John Hegan has a kind of punch-proof guy. He said, just try and hit me. And I didn't have a chance.
Cool.
So that was, that was really interesting. That was great jiu-jitsu. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah, you're saying about getting less shit. So I said to John, I hope you won't mind me saying this. I said, so you've been training under Hoist for years and you'll have rolled with him a lot, quite a bit. And he goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, have you ever tapped him out? And John is a third degree black belt. And he went, no, no, of course I haven't. Like it was a stupid, that's nuts to me. Because
Yeah.
obviously, we don't understand the level between a third degree and a sixth degree. There's just, it's fantasy land, isn't
It's
it?
just layers and layers and layers, I
But
think.
the fact that he never tapped him out ever was crazy to me. And that probably wouldn't be true if you were doing the sports stuff, because he literally might have just invented something that nobody's ever done before that's really fancy. You do a berimbolo roll and then
I was
go
going to
into
say,
something
yeah,
and
it's
then
like a berimbolo or
twist like
something
a
where
flash.
athleticism is paramount and then age creeps in or injuries creep in, etc. And then in terms of the athletic side, people have an advantage no matter if it's on the knowledge or the skill side. But yeah,
Yeah,
going
yeah, yeah,
stripping
yeah.
it back to the roots of jiu-jitsu, I suppose. As a
Well, the quote on the back of
keen
my
amateur.
T-shirt is a jiu-jitsu quote from Chris Horter, which is think street, train sport. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, or I can see
Think
the street
street,
sport
train
part of it.
sport, practice art. So that's him. So he says, I remember because I've trained with him a couple of times. He was saying using the art of jiu-jitsu as using all the leverage that I can and trying to put in positions and balancing my weight and stuff like that. Then you add athleticism to that, so you're doing all those things, but you're going super hard.
Yeah,
Train sport, and then think street. Maybe the person's on top of you and then trying to gouge your eyes out or something like that. So
yeah,
you have that mindset of, no, you're going down, I'm not. Oh,
sure.
how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Uh,
And to be fair, I think that's the way you should approach your martial arts. I think you should do the same thing, like whether it's
well,
standing.
all the proper ones we're used to doing kind of practical ones, not all that practical. Let's face it, are they? I'm not going to diss anybody because there are lots of different ways to the tops of the mountain, and you can do anything you like as long as you know that's what it is. You can do boxercise with no form as long as you know you're
Sure.
just keeping fit.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I say to people as well as what I've said before. It's like stay in your lane. If, example, you are teaching boxercise with no technique, but people are sweating, they're smiling, they're having fun, awesome.
Yeah,
But don't
yeah,
advertise it as a self-defense class. Like,
yeah.
just be honest about your intentions and what they are, and go, look, I'm not a boxing trainer, or we don't have people that compete, or I'm not a martial artist, but I'm a PT or whatever, and I can hold pads for you, and you can just whack on them for 45 minutes, and you'll get a good sweat on. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
fair play to you. But
yeah,
don't say it's a martial arts class or a boxing class or a kickboxing class or a self-defense class or something. Just be honest
yeah,
with your intentions with people. I think that's a good way of staying in your lane and being cool about it. So you've carried on then with Guru Bob at the Hoxton Academy. You've done your first grade. Where did it go from then? Then what was your progression up to black belt like? You say you just keep on rocking up. There's obviously
yeah. I just kept turning up. I guess I went through. I was probably graded once every 6 months, which is kind of standard. Some people did it more. I just wasn't improving enough. I was actually slightly worried when I got my green belt. So what you went from white to grey to yellow to green. But when you got your green belt, you could go to the Thursday half five classes, which is where they were sparring, and I'd never sparred.
Okay.
And those sparring classes went on at the same time as some of the beginners classes I was in. So when I was a beginner, I could see them. I was just thinking, oh my God, that looks terrifying, because there was some really tasty people back then. You know, a lot of
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
you know, competing under Winston and stuff like that. There were some
Sure.
really good people.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Winston.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about Winston at some point as well.
We will.
And yeah, I just kept turning up, and then I was actually a bit worried when I got my green belt, because I was going to have to start sparring, and I was really nervous about it, and continued to be for quite some time, for like years. And I just thought, well, it's going to go away when I get my black belt, and it didn't really. It's still it's like, I'm just not particularly fighting. I don't really like the idea of hurting people. Don't really like the idea of getting hurt. I'm kind of in a crazy job.
I was going to say, yeah.
But
So as a martial artist,
yeah,
you know, as a professional martial artist now that's teaching it, say,
yeah.
yeah.
But I am good at that. I'm comfortable saying that, because I look at my students and they look good, and Bob tells me they all look good. So, you know, I am a good teacher. So I consider myself a teacher much more than a fighter.
Yeah,
I've
same.
been in the ring, but
Yeah, same.
only once, and only age 53, just because I had students that were going to want to, and I just thought, well, I need to do it. So,
Did
you
you
know,
do, was it a white
had
collar
an inter.
thing?
It was an interclub, so
Okay.
kind of similar. We worked. So those white collars, you go hard, don't you? I was training up for a boxing one 10 years ago, and then I got my nose broken 8 days before the fight, and he had to reset it. I still don't know whether he caught me with because we had boxing head guards on, which I don't
Okay.
like. You can't see what's coming.
No,
It's
the
really
rubbish.
bad for your
Yeah,
vision, and they're not even that safe for your brain anyway. It just rattles a little bit more.
exactly.
So I said to the coach afterwards, what did he hit me with? And he just said the kitchen sink, I think. So I still don't know whether it was a left uppercut or a left hook, but he had to reset my nose, and the blood was coming out of my mouth as well as my nose.
Nice.
There was a girl, she was a really good boxer actually. She said that is the most impressive bleeding nose I've ever seen in my whole life. You couldn't just get a cloth, I had to get a mop
It's like,
on the floor. Yeah, yeah. And he didn't even fucking apologise either. So I had to cancel the, I've sold tickets and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
tried sparring immediately afterwards, and I just, oh God, that hurts. You know, because I've got a
yeah.
broken
Kind of
nose,
7 days
literally
beforehand. That's a
2
bit
minutes
harsh.
ago.
Or 8 days before.
That was on a Thursday. I went back on the Saturday, got hit, and I just thought, no, I can't, you can't be gun shy about a single shot to the face if you're about to go into a full contact boxing thing. So I had to cancel it, unfortunately.
Oh well.
Yeah, and then there's interclub that I did. We weren't supposed to be going 100%, but the guy was a stuntman for a living,
Okay.
and he was really well built. When I found out his name, I got my other half to. He's got an Instagram account. He's a stuntman. He was in Ready Player One and stuff. You know, he's
All right.
quite
Yeah.
an accomplished guy. Yeah, and he was so cut with the six pack and everything. And Muriel goes, "You can't fight him. Look at him." And I just, no, I've said I'm fighting. That's what the guy looks like. That's who I'm fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of glad I saw that before turning up on the day and seeing him look. Actually, in the end, he was actually a lot bulkier, but he just had massive arms, and he was going a lot harder. You're only supposed to get 3 warnings. He had about 10 warnings in the first round. And then it got right to the end of the first round, and I just thought, well, I'm not going to be a punch bag for 3 rounds. You know, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you're going too hard. So in the end, he hurt me a little bit. He gave me a couple of body shots, and then he went to right roundhouse kick me, and then I underhooked it with the left, and just threw. I did like properly right cross him actually. So I dropped him,
Nice.
and then I got told off by the ref, and then the bell went. And then the ref went over to his corner. Then I won't say who they are, but then that stable then never getting invited back again because they were all going too hard. And the whole point of this thing was to develop confidence for younger fighters.
Yeah.
I was 30 years older than most people, you know.
Yeah.
And they just did not get that memo. And so the ref went over to him. He goes, "You're not going to get many more warnings in this second round." And then the minute the bell went, his coach just goes, "Fuck him up." And it's like, what the you fucking idiot. Yeah. So I went and shook the guy's hand, the fighter's hand afterwards, because he's just doing what his coach tells him, but his coach is a moron.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
You say, what are you teaching there? Like, it's not a great attitude, is it?
Yeah. So and then it got stopped, kind of abandoned, I guess, or you could say he got disqualified because the ref was just like, "That's it, I'm just not doing this anymore."
Sure. Yeah, too much.
So I dropped him. He didn't drop me, although I did get a standing 8 count. Well, I was good to go. You know, I'm on camera saying let's carry on. So I'm not. It's certainly not a loss. I'm not even sure if it's a draw. It might be a disqualification for me. I don't even know what to call it.
You
But
got
I've
in
done
there,
it.
you did your thing. That's what
Yeah,
matters,
yeah,
really,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So yeah, fair play to you.
Trained hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was
Thanks
your
to Will
black belt
Dryden, by the way,
exam
for
like?
helping train me.
What was
Huh?
your black belt exam like under Bob then?
What was my black belt? What, the grading?
Yeah, the grading.
Right. So yeah, that was a special day, and that
I saw the
I'd
photo.
done.
Talking of Winston, I think I saw a photo. Didn't
Oh
I?
yeah,
Of
yeah.
Winston being
That's
at your
that's a
black belt.
great
Yeah,
photo, isn't
it's
it?
obviously Winston
Yeah,
Fraser, who's
yeah,
unfortunately
yeah, yeah,
passed
yeah.
away, but you know, a big name in Thai boxing and kickboxing.
Yes,
So,
and I used to train with him regularly, and oh my God, did I not enjoy those classes because they were really heavy cardio,
yeah,
and you got knocked about a bit as well.
he moved to
And
Lincoln a couple of years ago and
he did,
trained at the
yeah.
place where I was. Obviously, because I'm from Lincoln, I did a 1-to-1 with him, and
Oh right.
he worked me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And again, I guess it's just I'm just a glutton for punishment. I just thought the more you get used to it, the more you're used to it. And I told people off once because he used to teach a pure Thai class because he's twice European champion.
yeah,
He didn't teach anything apart from pure ring Thai, you know, no self-defensive stuff, no weapons or anything. Although I did see him with a stick once. He looked all right. I was impressed.
yeah,
Um, but they were at 8:30 on a Monday, and people had just done a lesson before that. And there was a one. The lessons were small because he looks like a predator.
yeah.
He's quite, you know, he's quite a scary guy.
He's on it.
He
Yeah,
works everybody really hard, and you get knocked about a little bit. So
yeah,
that's you know, not everybody wants that. But I think everybody should do it a little bit at least once, just so it's not a massive shock.
yeah.
With you know when it happens outside the kebab shop or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, everybody was leaving once. I think there was only two of us going to take the class. I was telling people, guys, you've got a twice European champion here, and you're all going home. You know, you're already here.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got
Stick
gold
around.
dust here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, stick around for another hour. They didn't. But yeah, but as a result, you know, I always supported Winston's classes. I all went to him, and he gave me the massive honour of coming to teach for me once at my club,
Amazing.
which
Yeah,
was huge. Yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah. I bet it was wicked. So your black
And
belt grading.
his style was very different to mine. And actually, yeah. So back to the black belt grading, I'd been watching the 2-on-1 sparring at the end that everybody has to do for about 6 black belt gradings before that, because I've been to all of them,
Sure.
and it just looked terrifying. And it just, oh my God, how am I going to cope with that? So on the day, I was partnered up with Paul Clark,
Okay.
who Sensei Paul, who I mean, so we were both doing a black belt under Bob, but he had more than one black belt already.
Yeah.
He's had 10 cage fights and never lost. You know, I don't. We took our black belts together, but we're not the same level
Yeah.
at all. But we didn't train much together because we did a bit of teaching, and we just generally had other training partners. So when we hit the pads and stuff, we didn't look that great, I don't think, just because you get the energy of a person just by
Yeah, yeah.
training
Get their flow.
and putting the volume in, and we didn't have any of that. So I don't think I did that good, but I drilled it really well. I'd really prepared myself.
Yeah.
I'd done I've been doing my hill sprints and stuff like that for the cardio. So it didn't look great at that. But the scariest bit actually wasn't the 2-on-1. It was when Winston held pads for me, which is just legendary.
Yeah.
And a mate of mine who I gave my bloody camcorder decided not to film that, which I think he picked up his still camera, and I've got like one picture of me in a funny pose.
Yeah.
So slightly annoyed about that. They normally get filmed. But yeah, so him holding pads was horrific. And then I just thought, because you worry, you'd spend the weeks going up to it just thinking, oh my God, what if I just have a brain fart and forget literally everything? Or, you know, and so I did all that. And then I did my time with Winston, and I did the stick fighting stuff. And I just thought, actually, I think I've been kind of competent, done everything to the best of my ability. It wasn't that bad. So when they said now it's the 2-on-1 sparring, and I had Winston and his then partner Bonnie,
Yeah.
also a European champion Thai boxer, and she's a savage. She's maybe the cruelest training partner, which I mean in the nicest possible way,
Sure.
obviously, that I've ever had. But because I just thought all I've got to do now, I've done everything else to the best of my ability. All I now need to do is avoid hospital for 2 minutes
Survive. Yeah.
against these two. Yeah, that's so your form goes out the window. I looked absolutely terrible. I actually got either punched or kicked out of a fire escape at one point,
Right.
which everybody found hilarious.
Yeah.
And actually, I felt slightly cheated after that because I got 5 or 10 seconds rest.
Okay.
when they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to
Well,
close the
reset
door,
then.
and I had to go back to the middle, and then we reset.
Sure.
Because I'll tell you what, I saw one of the other black belt gradings a couple of years ago, and they were running out of studio time, so you only had to do a minute of the 2-on-1. Anybody can do a minute.
Yeah.
It's the second minute that's
That's your
the
kicker.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt slightly cheated because I didn't go fully anaerobic in that. However, when Guru Bob called time, I had Winston down and I was on top of him. So that was quite good. However, that, I mean, he's an absolute killer, and so is Bonnie. And at one point, what you don't see when he was putting that rear naked choke on, sometimes out of camera, Bonnie was just teeping me, and then at one point I tried to teep her back, and she just underhooked me, and she was just doing these tomahawk elbows, like just down on my thigh like this, while Winston's choking me out. She's going like that.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. Just tenderizing the meat.
Yeah, yeah. And then that was my proudest moment. And then I should have my partner works for American Bank, and she was in the States at the time, and we were supposed to be going over there with my daughter for a couple of months because she was preschool. In fact, she had a third birthday in New York, so we went over there, and we would have gone earlier, but I was training and then doing my black belt.
Yeah.
And then in New York, about 3 days later, I went to put some contact lenses in and realised that I'd cut my eyeball
Ooh.
and not noticed because
Yeah.
everything else hurt so much. So you
Oh,
just
yeah,
take
yeah.
such a
That
beating.
was the
You
least.
don't even realise that you've got like a big red stripe on my eyeball, which is but yeah, huge achievement.
Yeah, well earned.
I guess I was at the one. I guess kind of old school because I was one of the I've made it to the old academy,
Yeah.
but I can't claim to be at the level of people like Vincent and stuff like that. But now, as you said, now even when I'm training myself, I'm training myself with a teacher mindset, as in how am I going to explain this to other people,
Yeah.
rather than get myself. So you got people like Mick Cody, who I remember him telling me that he could not touch me when he started, and he'd done some kung fu elsewhere, and we were sparring. He'd done a couple of bouts, and I remember telling me and my partner, he goes, "I cannot touch Julian," and now he's completely overtaken me. He's had a few more fights than me. He's been getting privates off Sensei Paul for a few years, and he's just thinking about getting him better.
Well, that's a compliment in a way.
I suppose. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not, but like I said, I think of myself as a
Like the
teacher, not a
students
fighter.
surpasses, and it's like, yeah, it's just one of those, isn't it? It's obviously taught him well.
Yeah. Because I've got a family and a house to run and books to write and stuff like that. Some people can train more than me. I don't train as much as I'd like.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's it. Everyone's got their own journey, haven't they? And it's
Yeah.
what you put your focus onto as well. I've got one of my students who's really into Kali, and she surpassed me now on the Kali side of it because she just really loves it. And it's just the whole
Yes,
thing.
the
I'm
woman
like,
with the
fair
crippling
play.
anxiety. Yeah, she might already have caught me up because she's doing Balintawak as well as the
Yeah.
Inasanto Lacosta stuff that I do. Well, sometimes illustrating that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously an instructor under Guru Dan as well. What was meeting Guru like for the first time? Obviously, when did you meet him for the first time?
It's like being around Yoda.
Yeah,
So I trained with him a couple of times in the early 2000s. Once as a yellow belt, I think, and then once I had a blue belt, a blue t-shirt on, and once as a blue t-shirt. So I trained with him then, and I think it was Carl Jackson that said to me, "It's just an. Have you trained with him?
yeah, yeah. I went to
Yeah, you've been over there, haven't you?
yeah,
Yeah, I've never been to the Inner Santo Academy. I've only
yeah,
trained with him in Europe,
yeah.
but I think it was Carl Jackson that said it's like trying to drink from a fire hose when he's teaching. There's just
Yeah,
so much culture and technique and
yeah.
background and
That's a great
competition
analogy.
references and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
It's a
That's exactly
fantastic
what I felt.
analogy.
It
Yeah,
was
there's just so much. So,
complete overwhelm
the,
for me. I was like, whoa.
yeah, yeah. And also this time, so I got made an instructor under him in Italy last year, but only on the last day. I
Congratulations.
asked Simo Cookie Vasiu.
Yep.
That's how you pronounce her surname. Because no, but Paul Finn, Seafood Paul Finn should definitely get a mention here
Yep.
because he was saying that I should be an instructor under Dan.
Yep.
I get on really well, Paul, and I've hosted him doing seminars. My
I need to
gym,
get him on the
although
podcast.
he did hospitalise me at the last one. So he suggested it. So I then got in touch with Simo because he said, "No, what you need to do is you need to get in touch with her, tell her your background, and then she'll probably want to hear from Bob because you have to have your instructor,
Yep.
date, stamp it,
Yeah.
approval stamp it or whatever." And I've trained with, with just loads of people. I mean, because I've trained with Chris Kent, Rick Fay, Mark
Yeah.
McFan,
Yeah.
Guru Dan, Ajahn Chai.
Rick Young, Bob Breen,
and all the English for
Terry Barnett.
instructors.
Yeah.
You know, Bob, Terry Barnett, Phil Norman, Paul Finn is now, the McLeod, not twins, like Neil and Rachel McLeod,
Yeah.
David and Numa,
Yeah.
and Rick Young. So I've trained with kind of everybody really, for a European.
Sure.
And so Simo Cookie just said, "Well, you know, give me Bob's details." And then they had a chat, and they're like, "Yeah, you're on the program." But well, she said no, she didn't. She said, "Well, this all seems fine. Come to Modena, and we'll have to have a look at you because they still need to see that you're looking good."
Yeah.
And then I think this is my proudest moment ever. Maybe, I don't know. There's a couple because I felt proud when I got my black belt. But Guru Dan was saying that he goes, what you'll find is that one day age is going to be your biggest opponent because there are things I can't do now that I used to love doing in my 40s.
Sure.
And there are things maybe you can't do in your 40s. And he goes, put your hand up if you're in your 20s. And there's like 150, 120 people in the room. A lot of people put their hand up. He goes, now put your hand up in your 30s. And he goes, put your hand up in your 50s. And I went like that. And he turned and looked straight at me and he goes, impressive. Like that, and I was just like, "Oh my fucking god, I've impressed Guru Dan."
Nice one.
Or he's making me feel good. Maybe he was not that impressed. He was just trying to make me feel good. But yeah, either way. I mean, I guess for 56-year-old, you know, I can still train Thai and kick head height and stuff like that. So I guess I'm doing all right.
Yeah, I think it's great. And
Because
I
I've
think
just kept
until you
training.
stop, you won't stop. Like,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, like the moment you stop, I think that'll be it. So just carry on doing it as much as you can, and then I think Guru Dan's a great example of that, and also Guru.
Of course, yeah, 88 now,
Yeah,
and last year he didn't do a lot of demos this year, but last year he did a lot more. He was 87. I say this a lot. He moved better than any human being I've ever seen move. And I know UFC fighters, you know, James Evans, the Collins,
yeah.
and you know Neil McLeod was, you know, we know some great cage fighters and stuff.
Sure.
And like Kira down at 87 was still moving better than anyone. And then this year, because that was then made an instructor last year, so this year I did 27 hours with him, I think, over the weekend instead of just the 2 lots of 3 hours or whatever.
Sure.
So I got to really immerse myself and go much deeper, and then my brain melted.
To be fair, when I went there, he was teaching a kids class. That's when I walked in for the first time, and he was just there teaching a front kick to a load of 4-year-olds. I was like, "Fuck."
He's doing a lot more teaching now, I think, because he said in Italy this year, he said, "I'm teaching something." He goes, "I've never taught this before." He's now realising he's got everything that, you know, he needs to teach everybody. And he said something so poignant. That was last year, because I'm a parent. She was 15 then. He was saying that I can't, obviously he just knows everything. He's the most knowledgeable martial artist on the planet. I don't think anybody could argue with that because of Bruce Lee's best mate, he gets to train with anybody he wants.
Well, exactly, yeah.
But he was saying, I could give you lists of things to do, and obviously he can and often does. But he said, but also if I just point you over there with your foot there and his foot there, you know, see what's over there. He goes, then you'll be exploring and you'll discover stuff for yourself, and then you'll remember it forever because you've. And he goes, and then once I've taught you how to learn, you won't need me anymore.
Exactly. It's
which
like
was a really poignant thing to say. Because he's really elderly.
That fishing analogy, teach a man to fish and all that, or
Yeah.
It's that, isn't it? It's the similar thing. So teach them how to learn for themselves, and they'll go out and find the answer.
And there's the Ali G version, which is teach a man to DJ, he can rock for a night. No, give a man a mixtape, he can rock for a night. But teach a man to DJ, and him and his they'll be partying for generations.
Okay, I prefer that one. Yeah, fair enough. When did you decide to start teaching them? At what point was that?
Yeah, it was kind of logistical reasons, really, because I used to work for that horrible financial sales company.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved out of sales, and it was when there were, in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of stuff in the papers about mortgage endowments being missold.
Yeah.
So I went to work for Barclays, the bank, and investigating the missales of endowments, which I was quite good at, because I'd seen the shit end of the wedge and seeing how people were mis-selling stuff in the you know, where I'd come from. So didn't really fit my personality, but I kind of, you know, you read the background and sometimes you can say, no, he did. You're saying he said that. That's not, I can tell that's not true. So I got quite a good feel for it because I was poacher turned gamekeeper.
Sure.
And then I went from there to, I shouldn't name them, but yeah, with dispute resolution, on the top of the tree above that, where I worked for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became a stay-at-home dad because my partner worked for an investment bank and earned 50 grand a year more than me. So it made sense that I stopped work, not her.
Yeah.
And then once Leela, excuse me, went to nursery when we waited till she could speak before that to tell us what was going on. She was very late speaking. She couldn't speak till she was 3.
Okay.
And then I was contracting for a bit. But then if you're contracting in banking, maybe the contract lasts for 6 months or a year and a half or whatever. But then you do that, then you've got to find a childminder. And then I'm out of work again, so I've got to be, so you've earned a few quid, but you're not working, and then then you sack your childminder because I can do it, and then you need another one. So
Yeah.
it was just off and on. It was a real problem, and it's really difficult to find a good, childminder. So in the end, in 2016, I turned 9 last week, actually. September 2016. Excuse me. We decided that, I'm not going to earn as much money, but if I start doing some teaching, set my own club up. So I started doing some kids classes and some adult classes. I now do more adult classes, less kids classes. I did a teenager class, about 3 or 4 years ago, I stopped teaching the little ones, the primary 7 to 11. It's really rewarding, but oh my God, is it tiring?
Yeah.
I'm
at that level now. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. And then in the end, I just thought, I'm a martial arts instructor, I'm not childcare, and you're playing games with them and stuff, and I just can't do it anymore. And I just spent the whole summer dreading that first one back. And I just thought, why do that to yourself? Even though it's quite lucrative, I just thought, no. So I was doing a teenager class, and my patience is running a little bit thin, but it was the first one back last night, and actually it wasn't too bad, although it was quite quiet till the tube strikes.
Oh yeah, of course.
I might carry on with that, and then that's because at least with that, you don't have to play games with them. It's kind of like my adult classes, except without swearing, basically. Yeah, similar. So I teach them elbows and some nasty, unpleasant Kali and Wing Chun stuff. Because I've got there was a girl there yesterday. She's 15 or 16, and a bit worried about so instead of we started off doing some kickboxing, and then I would just teach her ways of the things I said, like really worst case scenario, like somebody's trying to put you in the back of a van or something. I was just saying it, like, I'm going to shut my eyes. You try and choke me. So she's choking me. I said, right, look, they're your ears. I now know exactly where your eyes are.
Yeah.
Or even with one hand, I just know that's what. And and this is Carly, isn't it? You can kind of slap people and then just take a thumb in the eye and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or you can do Bob's. I call it Pac-Man. He said, take a picture. Against a right hook idiot punch, you just block like that, and then just hand, and then just thumb in the eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I didn't do. Oh, yeah. So people say, have you ever had any real world, experience? So kinda once. It's quite a good story. So my friend Roy, who also shout out to Roy, because when I used to teach in a church on Thursdays, he was the only one to ever turn up. So he was getting 10 quid a pop and getting an hour and a half private. But but it was enough to make me keep doing those classes, and so it kept me going. So that I've got a couple of bits. Chris Messam and Natalie Theron, they used to take privates off me. Oh yeah, they took privates when I was still in contracting as well. They started at Gym Box, and then I did a boxing lesson, and they came back the next day, and then I was asking them questions. Do they tell you this? And they're like, no, they didn't tell us that. And then I told them a bit, and they're like, gee, could you show us a little bit in the car park at lunchtime, on Friday, kind of thing. And then I showed them some stuff. And they're like, can we be your students, please?
Yeah.
So they started. Then I had my club. So, and I've been teaching for, I don't know, 5, 6 years or whatever. So Roy invited me to his leaving do from work. He used to work at Argos on the Holloway Road. And he was leaving, and I got invited to his leaving do. So he'd been there for 20 years. I don't know anybody because I'm his martial arts instructor.
Sure.
And I get introduced as his martial arts instructor. Well, because I'm not like an Argos person. So I've just spent 5 hours talking about like fighting and self-defense and martial arts, all this because everybody's asking me questions. So I've got that kind of mindset, and I'm having a few drinks as well. I'm only 2 stops away from Camden, or 1 now. So I got the tube back to Tufnell Park, and then I'm walking down Tufnell Park Road, which is like a mile long. It's a lovely road, a kind of tree-lined avenue. And I'm walking down the road, it's like 2 a.m. And then there's these 2 blokes on my side of the road, like shouting and like pointing. And then I'm like, are they shouting at me? And then, well, there's nobody else here. Why are they shouting at me, kind of thing? And then, one of them just wants a fight with the first bloke down the road.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, well, this is awkward. Because the thing is, they were like 20 meters before my flat where I lived.
Right.
So I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like, if that was in the daytime, I'd just go somewhere else and just not go anywhere near them. But it was 2 a.m. I wanted to go home. And because I've had a few drinks and I've been, instructor mindset, I was just thinking, well, I could do both of you if I have to.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, if I I've got a bit closer to them, and I thought, if I cross the road, he's going to cross the road towards me, and we're definitely going to be fighting because we both crossed the road for it. And then as I was walking, I'm 6'3", and I wasn't nervous. And I think one of them realised that A, I was still walking towards them, B, I was quite tall, C, I didn't look at all nervous or bothered.
Yeah.
So you can see from his body language, he's suddenly going, hang on, we might have a long bloke here.
Yeah.
So then I stayed on the same side of the road. The beta, let's call him, had gone behind the alpha, and they were both 6 foot tall. They didn't even look like chavvy with tracksuits or anything. They fucking know better. Although I don't recognise either of them because I get terrible memory loss when I'm drunk. So for all I know, they're students now. I literally just don't know.
Okay.
And I was just like, mate, I don't want any trouble like this. And I kind of checked his shoulder and I checked his elbow, which was kind of all right. I did the right thing, but he managed to he got his right hand and he grabbed hold of my jacket.
Mm.
And so what I would normally do, I would teach a thing, I guess it's from Aikido and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, where you go over there, you keep that up in case he hits you with the other hand, and then you turn the wrist lock, so they end up like that, yeah?
Mm.
But I didn't. I did an inside gunting. I did this weird thing. I did it like this, which, it's from stick fight, and then you normally go, what is that? That's Heaven 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I basically did Heaven 3, so I did both hands on this, shoved him in the shoulders. You stay there, to the beta, who was just like, yeah, all right, yeah. And then I just started shouting at this bloke and told him what I did the minute I did this. And he was like, oh, shit. Because I think psychologically, if you're neutral and then you're suddenly in a combat situation, it's panicking. It's even worse if you think you're the alpha, you're about to do somebody, and then suddenly it's not going to happen like that. Sorry. And he got his eyes, you could tell. And I just started shouting at them. And then they started arguing. And then I walked off and I was making sure they didn't see where I lived because I had to go down the steps to my flat. And then that's it. So woke up, I had a Paul Smith leather jacket on. So the first thing I did in the morning was make sure that he hadn't scratched my leather jacket.
Priorities.
But then you play around like, did I do the right thing? For weeks, explaining to people. And like one of my students said, God, he's so deserved to get knocked out. But the thing is, it's 2 a.m. We're somewhere like that. At least one of them's probably a neighbour from somewhere around there, which means they're going to be around. Maybe both are. They might be behind me with a brick next week. So I think I got home safely, which is the main thing.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it?
That they got. I've got a family to get home to, so that is the main thing. But also the fact that they got home safely and had a bit of a attitude adjustment and a bit of a shock that's pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
And no legal ramifications. And the things that people forget, no vendettas. If you beat somebody up and then they've got 6 brothers, that's a problem, isn't it?
You never know, do you, unfortunately? That's why you dance with the devil in the ring, or you dance with the devil in the cage, or you dance with the devil on the mats or whatever, but avoid it.
Yeah. So I've put myself in that position where a stuntman is trying to kick 7 bells at me.
That's the way to do it. They know,
just that once. Yeah. Probably too old to do a jiu-jitsu competition, even as a white belt. But
they've got the Masters divisions, haven't they? They've got the Masters divisions. You can go for it.
Yeah, I break easily. Yeah, we'll see. I haven't even got a stripe yet, so I'm certainly not thinking about it now.
How long
you got a stripe?
Yeah, I've got my first one. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of on and off, really. I've grappled a little bit over the years. I've trained with Eric Paulson.
Same, yeah. I've just never been consistent.
I've had weirdly, I've always had a slightly dodgy neck, which comes from writing a novel on a coffee table on a laptop slightly to the left.
Hunched.
So that caused that problem, plus getting wrenched and stuff. So I've always had a bit of a weak neck. But weirdly, I thought, I'm just going to fucking do it anyway and just ride it until the wheels fall off. Yeah. So about 6 months ago, I went to the Legacy Academy, Paul Smith and Steve Payne's the instructor. And I don't know Ryan's surname. Ryan, he was a Cage Rage world champion, black belt in BJJ. Steve Payne, I think, is a 3rd degree now. So the teaching's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I had to stop. I've currently got a trapped nerve in my foot. But 6 months ago I started, and actually this is the weirdest thing. My neck improved because I was going once or twice a week, and they'd really good warm-ups. They'd have a really long warm-up, and if you're doing like triangle warm-ups like this and keeping your head off the ground, it really strengthens your neck. So bizarrely, a 56-year-old man has got less neck pain because he's doing jiu-jitsu, which makes no sense.
I was literally saying this to... Who was I saying to? I was saying it to Matt Chapman, actually, when we were in Spain for the Bob Breen camp because obviously Steve was there as well.
Oh, you went to that, did you?
Yeah. Steve Payne was there. And we were chatting jiu-jitsu and things like that. And Matt was saying about how it just fucks your body up. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, honestly, I've had a bad back for years. Like, and I've had sciatica before and just impact of martial arts, I think. I said, it's actually really improved since doing jiu-jitsu because you're getting like, stretched a little bit and it's kind of a dynamic stretch. And I say, I've never had like this kind of like twinge again that I have had when I've been more sedentary. Whereas I've been having a bit of a roll on the mats and stuff. And, I've had my guard passed or my legs have been around here or, I'm getting scrambly on the floor. It's felt great. I'm like, okay, happy days. And I can feel a difference now if I stop doing it for a few days or if I have a week off or something like that. I'm like, oh, my back's just starting to just knot up a little bit and get tight. So, yeah, I think if you do it right, it's good for you. But I don't know. Ask me again in 5
years. And you need
years.
respectful training partners as well. So they've got a great culture at the Legacy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, as I say, ask me again in 5 years when I'm all broken. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Enjoying the journey, the same as you. It's good. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. So
that's the main thing.
And I was maybe kind of starting to, just before this bloody foot problem, I would go as far as saying I was starting to enjoy it. Good. But also we were only really doing technique stuff. We weren't rolling. I rolled a bit.
I like the rolling side of it. It's like the live part.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got to have a good partner.
Which is where it's at. So I should force myself to do a bit of that.
Yeah, and the competition side of it, I did my first comp a couple of months ago, and it wasn't as intense as I thought it would be.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I lost, but it let me get some focus in. I lost weight. I cut down my weight. I got super fit for it. I trained a lot. It let me lock in a little bit, but I enjoyed it. I'm going to sign up again for another comp before the end of the year. So yeah, I think you're not going to get the damage you would do if you're signing up for kickboxing or boxing. Like, I don't really want to do that anymore. I've had a few kickboxing fights, I've had a few boxing matches, I've had a couple of MMA matches when I was younger, and yeah, I was like lost in the BJJ one, but I wasn't hurt, I wasn't injured. It just ran out of time, and then he beat me on points, and then I was like, okay. And what's the worst that happens? You go tap, and then it's over, isn't it?
Yeah, almost always, yeah.
Yeah.
And, just like crossing the road, something could happen, but
yeah. What's your focus on training now then? Is your focus on the club, on teaching? Is it focusing on yourself? Is it where?
No, it's no, it is a little bit actually. So the thing is, so the SIOC Carly under Mick Shaw, I'm definitely doing that, and just their mindset about everything was amazing. Am I allowed to say this? Because there's loads of stuff I'm not allowed to teach. When I first signed up for it, Mick Shaw said, "What are you looking forward to?" And I was like, "Oh, some fresh stuff to teach in my knife classes." And he's like, "Whoa, no, you can't teach this."
Yeah.
And it's because it's murder, a lot of it, because it's taking out sentries and stuff like that. It's not like they're coming at you asking for your wallet. It's like, no, this is military situation.
It's in the jungle. And,
and like some of it's like literally like sneaking up behind sentries and stuff like that. And femoral arteries and eyes.
What was that film that Sayok Kali was used in?
It's The Hunted.
That's the one.
Benicio del Torres.
Yeah, that was the one. Great film.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, great film.
Yeah, it's a great film. Yeah. I've told my students to watch it. But the thing is, they miss everything out, and all Sayok Kali that you see online is wrong.
Yeah.
Because they put Easter eggs in it. So the people because you're only allowed to teach it if you're a proper SIOC instructor.
Sure.
So the stuff that they put online, which other people can copy, has mistakes in it, which they leave on purpose.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not saying it, but
smart.
Yeah. So you need that legit, and that the SEAL teams do, or SEAL Team 6 do it. There was Chuhon Holly Elmore. I saw he shared a thing on Facebook the other day, and he was getting interviewed by a guy who was in SEAL Team 6. And he was saying the stuff that you've shown us is so cool. And he goes, we don't even share it with the other SEAL teams.
Yeah.
So they're obviously, like truly, truly elite. And their mindset and stuff, I'm just wondering how much of it I can say. Because, I don't want to get myself into trouble. And also, and Mick Shaw said, look, if, there are ways of like passing knives from one person to another and stuff like that. And he said, look, if we see on YouTube any, like gang member in Camden has been doing anything, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So, I want to, I'm going to speak to him actually, because I think I'd like to be an apprentice or whatever the first stage is. Now I've been to Sama, they're gathering. I've met them all. I think I'd be allowed. And then maybe I'll be allowed to teach it. Because right now, it just feels like a colossal waste of time, because it's really difficult on the brain for an hour and a half. Then you've got to drill the stuff that we're doing. And there's other research and stuff. So that's pushing me, and that's really interesting. And that's, kind of zombie apocalypse kind of stuff. But who knows where we're heading?
Well, indeed, yeah, it might
The
not be too far
political
away.
state of the world. So yeah. And yeah, so I'm focusing on my SIOC. I'm going to go back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as soon as this trapped nerve is better. And I've only found out, I saw a therapist, but I found out some stretches for it yesterday, so I might just be able to stretch myself better and then get back to jits.
Yeah.
Where are we? September. I maybe shouldn't have said it to him, but I have, if I can get back to training like now, if I can train a couple of times a week for the rest of the year, maybe I'll get a stripe by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Stripe on my
Little goal.
but I'm training for the knowledge and the,
Exactly.
training for the knowledge, not the belts.
Yeah, same now. I'm just doing it for the fun.
Let's face it, one stripe on
me.
on a white belt isn't really going to impress anybody.
No, it's fuck all in it, but yeah, it's just the first step on the journey, isn't it? But yeah, I'm doing the BJJ for me because it just, I'm not going to teach it. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just doing it purely for me to go, right, I can just go and get a sweat on now and train and not have to think about teaching it or this or that or anything. I just go, this is for me. I'm going to get smashed. I like it.
Once every couple of weeks or so, I'll just go to the local gym and do some work on the heavy bag, do some Thai on that. I'll just run for 5 minutes, then 10 or 12 rounds on that. And once a month, I still get private time with Guru Bob, who I haven't really talked about. So, oh my God, Bob Breen.
Exactly.
So if it weren't for him and the teaching environment that he created at the Bob Breen Academy, I mean, he's just helped thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
And me included, he's got me from being just a completely rubbish person with no background or ability or attitude for fighting to being somebody that's, training BJJ, fought in the ring,
capable,
run a successful club. And it's his guidance and his also his personality, because he's really combative about everything that he does.
Yeah, there's no fluff.
So he says, what's that thing he says? It's, you need variations of stuff, but you don't need 12 of them. You need the ones that work. So he says, what is it? He says, no 5.
Yeah.
Own 3.
Yeah.
Master
Use 1. Yeah.
But you just need stuff that works all the time. There's no point in learning lists of stuff. You need to find out what works for you. He's got his 4D box, which is amazing. I can teach that to beginners.
Yeah, I like that.
Just parry, Pac-Man or whatever, and just any variation on that.
Yeah.
And he's just such a wonderful person to be around as well, isn't he? He's so inspiring. He's so interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, because I'm kind of mates with him, which doesn't even make sense. We chat about music or just other stuff, or just not what books we've been reading or whatever.
That's it.
It's not just martial arts. He's a real mentor.
Yeah, 100%. I feel the same way about him, and lucky to be associated with him and things. In fact, I'll see him.
And all my instructors, really have to give thanks to all of them just for keeping me. Terry Barnett came up there. He's a wonderful man.
Yeah.
I used to train with him a lot. When I was rubbish, when in my first couple of gradings, and he used to teach in the Bob Breen Academy on Monday.
Yeah.
And on Mondays, and when I got my black belt, I actually messaged him, and I hadn't seen him for 10 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit emotional about this, actually, and I said, Guru, Terry, you probably don't remember me, but I used to come to your classes and do, on Monday nights and do your stick and knife, and I've just got my black belt under Bob, and it's because of the drilling the basics that you gave me, because I neglected stick a little bit, and then all the brown belts are training suddenly, and I was like, oh my God, but it all came back really quickly, because he is so methodical, and his explanations are so good. He really just puts into it, and my Filipino triangle footwork and stuff is still fun, but all because of him. It's just putting those reps in and the attention to detail. That's it. Winston's already come up.
Yeah,
there's my favourite Winston teaching story that just shows how his teaching style is so much different to mine, because I'm just like, we can do this, but he once said, and I was only like a yellow belt or something, but I was in a room on a Saturday morning with it. So half of the people were in his fighting set. Snipers was the name of his Thai stable, and there was a load of real competitive, terrifying people for shitty yellow belt like me, and he said, right, I want jab, cross, hook, cross, and if you're not hitting hard enough, I'm going to hit the pad holder. He was walking around with gloves on.
Okay.
So all the pad holders were like, don't make him hit me, don't make him hit me like this. So they're really getting you. So I was getting really tight and stuff like that. And then we got about 30 seconds of that, and he just goes, whoa, 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 whoa. What's all this with? on the pads. He goes, if I'm on the street tonight and I've got to fuck somebody up and I can't because my pad holder's been letting me get away with on the pads, who am I going to hate? So then it's a really good lesson for pad holders.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to steal that.
Them.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
My guys are getting it.
Yeah, really young. I've trained with a few seminars.
Yeah,
Neil McLeod, I used to train with a lot when he taught at Bob's. He's phenomenal.
He is phenomenal. Yeah.
Just Fraser Kine said Neil McLeod was the best JKD person of this generation.
Yeah, I probably agree.
Which
very
you know, I mean, I've never trained with Daniel Lanero. I guess he's pretty.
I'm seeing him in a couple of weeks. Actually, he's coming to Lincoln.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is.
If he's touring, I might try and see him then.
Yeah, he's
my
in
friend
Lincoln.
Marcos Vilcher. Shout out Marcos. He's an instructor under him.
Yeah. 2 weeks time, I think it is. He's at Function First in Lincoln, so I've booked onto that because I've never met him either, but I know a lot of people speak very highly of him. So I was like, yeah, is this in my hometown? Can't say no. Perfect. Well, Julian, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Great origin story. I think that's one of the best I've had, to be fair. So, yeah, thank you for taking the time to have a chat. That was an interesting story. Yeah. And, I will catch up soon with you, I'm sure, at a Guru Bob event.
Yeah, nice one. All right, cheers, Dan.
Perfect, thank you.
Look after yourself. Happy training. Good luck with the jits. Let's stay injury-free, shall we?
Yeah, 100%. We'll try our best, won't we? Thank you. Cheers, Julian.
But you have to stop that because I'm not supposed to cut you off, am I?